Okay, in this part, we are going to be working with triangles that are a little more advanced, but we're still going to use those same skills that we used, just that now it's going to be a little bit more important to use that algebraic thinking versus 180 minus everything else, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and write out, and this comes into play at the very beginning of your 8th grade year also, so I'm just kind of introducing it to you now, trying to have you get that introduction, and then you'll work with it more in your 8th grade year. So we're going to go ahead and start out with what I see and what I know. Well, first of all, what do I know about a triangle? Well, I know that its angle measures sum equals 180 degrees. Okay, now what do I see? So this is where you could go through and you could write out every corner vertex individually. So you could write out x plus 10, and I'll do this just really quickly. And then I have another x, and I have a 3x and a minus 5. So you could go through and do that. Then your next step would be to go ahead and combine like terms. So what do I have that's the same? I have x's, remembering to include the symbol in front of each of them, and then I have non-x's. Okay, so I could do that and simplify it. This is what I tend to do. I tend to circle, use my figure, and I circle everything. I do my like terms right away. So here I have 1x, another 3x's, so that's 4x's total, and another x, that's 5x's. Notice 1x, 2x, 3, 4, 5x's. See how I get that 5x the same way? Now, important to remember this symbol. So I have a positive 10 and a negative 5. Those are right here. So 10 minus 5 gives me 5. So that's a positive 5 equals 180. So you have to decide, do you need to see it all fully written out, or are you able to go through and actually just do your combining of like terms up above? Totally up to you. Now I'm going to work it like a two-step equation, getting rid of any adding or subtracting first. So minus 5 is the opposite, so I can go to the opposite side. So I have 5x equals 175. Now I'm going to go ahead and divide by 5 to get x by itself. So we're going to divide by 5, divide by 5. So 175 divided by 5 gives me 35. So x equals 35 degrees. Now, if they just ask you for x, that's fine. If they ask you to identify the measure of each angle, then you're going to have to go ahead and substitute in. So this one would be 35 degrees. This one would be 35 plus 10, which really equals 45 degrees. And this would be 3 times 35, which would be 105, minus 5 equals 100 degrees. Now, in the end, these have to equal 180. And do they? Yes, they do. They equal 180. Okay, so I know I did it right. They may ask for just what x equals. They may also ask you to find the measure of each angle. I'm going to go ahead and do both of them. Okay, so let's try one more of those. Okay, this one's kind of tricky too. So they just want us to find the value of x. So this time they're just giving it to us in a different format. So we know that a triangle equals 180 degrees. Okay, what do we see? We see an x, so that's how many x's? That's 2 x's, and a 60. So there's our two-step equation. So we're going to do minus 60, that leaves us with 120, and on this side a 2x, divide by 2, that should be 120. Divide by 2, that gives me 60 degrees for x. Okay? So I want you guys to go ahead, pause your video, and work your way through this one. I want you to go ahead, figure out what x equals. Okay, x equals 26 degrees. Okay, remember, on this concept, you're working with what do I see, combining like terms, and then what do I know about a triangle, which is 180 degrees. Then solving your two-step equation.